What's up, everybody? It's Matt Evans, 3.5 weeks out from Nationals 2014 here at the Mecca, Gold's Gym. We're hitting legs today. Let's go pump this out. Good deal. All right, first exercise is leg extensions. Charles normally has me do this to kind of warm up my knees, get some blood on the quads, kind of loosen up some things so we can really get into the other parts of the workout. So this is basically just kind of a warm-up exercise I would normally do. So getting them in. Lately, last week or two, just kind of kicking inside the house, watching Netflix. I'm running out of movies to watch, so I'm kind of just watching reruns, you know, and eating my food, you know. So, but I'm not ever too bored. I'm just always, you know, cooking, then eating, then cooking and eating, then training, you know. So, you know, you stay pretty busy. And, you know, when you eventually run out of food for your fridge, you got to go back to the grocery store, get some more food. And, you know, that's my day-to-day stuff right now. I kind of quit doing a lot of things in the last couple of weeks just so I can just focus on the show. So just right now, it's my #1 priority. So, you know, just relaxing, making sure I get enough rest, making sure I train hard enough, not overdo it, and, you know, just keep things nice and smooth. All right, right here we're on this squat machine. I like this machine, probably because it works most of your quad and even gets in your glutes a little bit. So I like to go down all the way and up all the way, you know, but at first I like to warm up and just kind of ease my way into it because, you know, you want to make sure your knees are okay. And as you go up in the weights, you know, you want to make sure you wrap, keep them nice and tight, you know, make sure, you know, your knees are stabilized. So, yeah, this is the machine right here, the machine of machines in Gold's Gym. Charles loves this machine. So at first I hated it. I remember I couldn't do 4 plates on here when I first met Charles, or 3. So anyone knows who's been through a Charles Glass workout, leg workout especially, legs are no joke. So, you know, that's how it goes down. So anyways, this is the machine right here, the jump off machine. Let's get it out the way real quick. Yeah, this week basically, Chris added some steak into my last meal. So, you know, you drained out throughout the day and then you finally get a good steak meal and it makes you feel pretty good and makes me go to sleep a little bit easier. So, you know, just a little bit of fat, you know, so kind of just help keep the muscles nice and full and, you know, hold its ground while we diet down. So. About I think about all the changes we've made actually this week. So, but yeah, I got it. Yeah. Okay. So right here we move on to the next one. Since we get the hard stuff out the way, we got a horizontal leg press. This right here is a good machine. Really isolates the top of the quads. You know, kind of makes everything a lot fuller and tighter. So Charles likes to utilize this because it helps with that whole 3D effect of your legs. So when you stand out there, you're showing something good. So like I said, we like to stay heavy, but taller guys like myself have to stay heavy because, you know, I'm 6'2". which I'm one of the tallest bodybuilders on the stage. So it takes a lot longer for our legs to grow because they're such long limbs. So in order for me to do that, I also not only have to train about another year or two than most super heavy or most heavyweights or light heavyweights. I actually have to train an extra year because, you know, it takes that much longer to get size on your muscles. So in order to do that, we go all the way down, all the way up, keep the weight nice and heavy, and keep moving forward. That's what we do. Another day, another muscle. You know, as I'm doing my movements, you might see me put my hands like on my knees. I basically just use that as an extra stabilizer because I just like to keep an eye on my knees as I go down and up. Because, you know, I said before, when you're a taller guy, you gotta add on a lot more weight. So the joints gotta hold together and you gotta make sure that they stay there. So I normally just keep my hands there. I don't normally press on it or anything else like that. I don't think you'll see me flexing too hard up against them, but they're just there as additive support for my knees when I need them. 3 more. 1, 2, 3. All right, right here is the vertical press. Moving on, trying to isolate more of the muscles. Basically, this is, you know, you lay down on your back, you press straight up. It really hits more of the top of the quad, but sometimes I actually like to angle it out a little bit just so I can get a little bit of that inner part of your legs. So I like this machine. So try not to do it, overdo it, because, you know, it's dangerous on your knees if you go too low. But you want to keep the pressure off your knees, and while you come down, just make sure your toes or your knees don't go over your toes. And doing that, you should be safe. Yeah, okay, so when I'm not bodybuilding, you know, I'm normally working on my clothing line. It's called Muscle Thug. Now, sometimes people tend to get that mistaken as like a gangster or someone who runs around and hurting people and things like that. That's not what a muscle thug is. A muscle thug is someone who actually has been through a lot, been through the struggling, or is still struggling, trying to make it, you know what I mean? But coming in here and all that negative energy they get out there from trying to make it, they come in here and they let it out in the gym. So they turn all that into a positive, you know? So that's being able to, you know, thug your way through the hard times, being a muscle thug. So it's a positive, you know, it's a positive thing we're trying to do, you know what I mean? You know, got a hard name, but it means well. So, you know, like I said, I'm doing the clothing line, trying to get that up and running. And I just moving. It's taking a little bit longer, but, you know, like I said, when you want something nice and done right, you know, it's worth taking your time. You know, it's kind of like bodybuilding and everything else, you know. Like Arnold said it best, you know, bodybuilding kind of sets your discipline level for other aspects in your life, you know. You use this discipline to be able to do all this work on time, on schedule, and be consistent about it in bodybuilding. You know, if you can be a good bodybuilder, you can achieve anything. So, you know, that's just, you know, one of the things I'm working on is the clothing line and trying to get that going. And then, you know, also we're setting up donation charity for single parents, because I come from a single parent background, and you know, I know how much it was and how hard it was with my mom, you know, struggling, you know, with 4 bratty kids. So it was important to me to kind of do some kind of charity work towards single parents. So it kind of touches home for me. So yeah, so we're doing that. And then, you know, like I said, I still roll my big uncle, MC Hammer. He always, you know, taking me on the road and doing fun things with me, and get to see him live in concert. It never gets boring. I mean, if you guys ever get a chance to check him out, I'll tell you, most powerful concert you ever seen in your life, you know, so it's a good thing. So roll with him, got the clothing line going, training with Charles, talking to Chris, and just things like that. I try to be as normal as I can, you know, try to have some kind of a life, you know, besides work and bodybuilding. But, you know, like I said, work You know, it's God, family, and then work. And you got those three things, you know, lined up right. You're gonna do all right. All right, here we go. Last exercise of the day. Gonna kick it off with trying to get those outer sweeps in. So we got the sled right here. I'm gonna do one-legged, angled. Try to bring that knee as far back to the shoulder as I can, and really get that nice full side. So when you stand sideways on stage and you turn your legs out, you got that nice round thing. You know, see, me, my goal is to look like the Gold's Gym guy, you know, all perfectly and symmetrical, you know. So that's what I always try to achieve my physique as. So you want a nice sweep, you want that hourglass look, nice V taper, you know, just showing off and extenuating all those muscles when you're on stage, you know. So this year we really worked on balancing out everything. So hopefully when we come to the stage, you know, as I said before, God willing, we can do some damage. So, sled, that's where we get it in at. Let's get it.
Get it going. He works harder than anybody I know in this gym. He's a good boy.
My man Frankie right there. Love him, man. Trains some of the greatest, man. He was out there with Flex back in the day. Good guy. If you look him up, you know, you look up Flex Will and Chris, come here, you're going to see him in the background helping out. He's been around a minute, he knows his stuff. That's a good dude right there. All right, that wraps it up for legs. We got it in. I know that because I can barely walk right now, so that's good. I want to send shout outs. Charles Glass, always being in my corner. Chris Aceto, my dietitian, the technician. Always staying on point, call me every day. Appreciate that, much love. Want to send another big shout out to my Uncle MC Hammer and the OFC family, Oakland Fight Club. I love you guys. Also, Steve Blackman and Jordan Blackman for holding me down, keeping me on MDTV all the way up to the show. Much love, you guys. I really appreciate it. So that wraps it up for the day. We got it in. MD TV. We out of here.